Wurtz.
And I'm Jacob Gabel.
And this is the Untapped Podcast.
Yes, sir. Yes, sir. It's good to be back. It's really good to be back.
It is. It is good to be back. We're back in the home studio. And we've got some surprises for all you guys. We got some new parts to the setup of the podcast. We got some new camera angles for you guys. Got the flag hanging up behind us. Both flags hanging up behind us. And man, we are excited about this.
Very excited.
Yeah.
Very excited. Yeah, we've been real busy these last 2-3 weeks really setting up all this stuff for you guys, for one.
Yes.
But also just in general, our own work outside of this stuff, too.
Yeah.
We've been really busy. So,
Definitely.
I mean, I went to Minnesota this last weekend. So, Wurtz and I really haven't seen each other for a little bit over a week now, actually.
Yeah, which is very odd for us.
Really abnormal. So, it's for us, it's like the equivalent of not seeing each other for a year for all you regular people out there.
Right.
You know, but yeah, it's definitely weird whenever we go without seeing each other, but at the same time, like you could tell today we were both just let's do this
just
thing.
ready to
like,
do it.
So
just
ready.
excited. Yeah. No, we I don't know. We got a good topic too, so it's a good one.
Real good topic.
Come
today.
back on. You know,
Definitely.
Being away for a while, and you want to lead us in?
Yeah, let's dive right in.
Do it, man.
So, summarizing right off the bat, ladies and gentlemen, we have American apathy as our topic today. For those of you that don't know what apathy or being apathetic means, it basically means a lack of interest, enthusiasm, or concern about something.
Yeah.
Specifically in this case, with Americans, we're talking about the lack of interest in their own personal fitness, important issues, and the idea of not being interested in solutions at all.
Sure.
More just kind of arguing.
And just personal excellence. Not
Yes.
being interested in that. You know, it kind of goes along with the fitness of the three that you just said there, the health. But just no interest in trying to be better in every facet of your life. You know, it's just I don't know, like it's disappointing.
It's very disappointing.
You know,
and I think it's a byproduct of the fact that we've had life so good here for so long.
Yeah.
Because if you think about it, I mean, again, we talk about the phrase, you know, strong men create easy times, easy times create weak men create hard times create strong men, and the cycle repeats.
Right.
Obviously, as I would hope most of you can tell, we're in the time of, you know, easy times creating weak men.
Yeah.
And it's like in the middle of that / on the side of the weak men side.
Yeah, absolutely.
A lot as we continue to ease farther and farther towards that side. And again, that means weak people in general too, in this case, because a lot of times we say men, but in this case, it literally means like a lot of people are weak.
Right.
And again, it relates to men because we're the leaders.
I was going to say, that's exactly where I was about to go was it points right at the men. I mean, all of us. Even, guys, we're plenty guilty of this too at times, you know, where the you know, quote unquote man skills and just like leadership skills and stuff like that has really gone by the wayside, you know, and I believe that's intentional.
Yep.
The way that society has gone.
It's structured, sure.
With social media, the politics, and just I think it's intentional. And I think there's a big reason behind that that I don't really want to find out what that is.
Let's avoid finding out.
Yeah, exactly.
Let's avoid that consequence entirely, I would hope.
Yeah, and guys, this kind of goes hand in hand some with our last episode when we talked about the Second Amendment and standing up and being vocal and being physical, and that doesn't necessarily mean violent, but being vocal and physical with standing up for what the Constitution gave us. You know, standing up for what the Constitution says and those rights that we were given by our founding fathers.
And that includes freedom of speech. I mean, it's the same thing.
Absolutely.
It's the same thing with, you know, parents being labeled as domestic terrorists for going into the school board and telling them stop putting a mask on my kid.
Right.
Same concept. Again, wherever you stand on that issue, you got to understand that there is a freedom of speech to that. There's no threatening, like, so freedom of speech like stops at the point where it's like it actually like instigates a threat, correct?
I believe so.
Yeah,
yes.
I think that's correct.
Like, hey, again, I'm going to shoot you.
Somebody correct me on. Yeah, exactly. Yeah, somebody correct me on that if I'm wrong. But anyways, so nothing about them going and telling the school board, hey, take the mask off our kids. It's not doing anything. It's not beneficial. All it's doing is hindering their development.
Yeah.
And they get called domestic terrorists for that for showing up at the school board.
Right.
That's a serious issue.
And they get blown up on CNN or social media and just crazy parents don't want kids to wear masks and, you know, want their kids to get sick and all this other bull crap. And it's like, no. There's just literal evidence showing that these things don't work on our face. And kids are at the very, very low end of the at-risk population for COVID. it's not like
it's not even at the the risk end. Like everybody has a chance of dying at like any point in time during the day.
Yes,
but it's like 99.999999995%.
Right.
So it's like if you're a healthy child, like I'm sure if you're an obese child, it changes things. Of course, like there's a 17-year-old in North Dakota, I think that passed.
I think wasn't she the first teenager that died from COVID?
Something like that. Something like that. Yeah, and that was like 6 months in.
Yeah, right. And it's like sorry, but look at the person. Like what actually killed her inevitably.
So that leads right back to our point about the apathy.
Yeah.
About personal fitness, personal excellence, taking care of yourself. How big of a deal is that? Because again, a lot of the time, since the U.S. we have so many privileges here, we have to make our own hard times, so to speak. We have to make our own hard times. We have to and that Wurtz and I were just talking about this today. We need to take like combat ready courses, how to save human lives, that type of stuff. And we need to stay up on that because, or even like a kickboxing or a boxing or a Muay Thai or a jiu-jitsu class, because that could be creating our own hard. Yeah, and we should be creating our own hard. I mean, 75 is hard is a good example of that.
Right. Sure.
But
that's a really good starting point.
It's a great starting point. Yeah. But like especially like people talk about, especially for men and women, especially for women, self-defense / combat classes are really good at creating a certain type of hard for that person.
Yeah, and just in beginning, especially like I would say for females, being able to flip your mind in a situation where you might be in danger, to know how to handle yourself in the situation if things get physical.
Instead of just flight.
Yeah, right.
Being able to possibly fight if the need comes.
Exactly. You know, and like he just said, that's self-defense, that's pepper spray, that's exercising your Second Amendment right.
Definitely.
To carrying a firearm.
I advocate for that heavily for females.
Absolutely.
And every female I talk to is like, did you buy a gun yet? Like that. Like if they're talking about like walking or whatever, I'm like, do you ever walk at night or anything like that, or like any other sketchy times? And they're like, sometimes. And I'm like, buy a firearm.
And that really goes for anybody. Like there's plenty of times where we've gone on night walks like on our own, and like there's just nights where like I don't know, you're kind of looking around, you just have like that feeling.
It's a head on a swivel type thing.
Absolutely. Exactly.
Absolutely.
And I think that kind of comes more natural. That comes more natural to us males.
It does,
especially guys like us who are just kind of in that mindset, just always keeping, like you just said, head on a swivel, just being aware of your surroundings.
We're close to the road whenever we walk, that type of stuff. Like whenever you walk with Peyton, you're on this like the close side of the road, that type of stuff.
Right.
That's very small examples, of course.
Absolutely.
But it makes sense because again, like if like we're saying, guys, like especially with the personal fitness, personal excellence route, creating your own hard is so important in a society that really there's not a lot of hard.
Yes.
Because again, if we're worrying about stuff like gender identity, we don't really have any problems in this country.
Yeah.
Like let's be really honest here.
Right.
That's true because other countries don't deal with like if again. Tim Kennedy made a good example of this. This is from he was on the Rogan podcast, and Tim Kennedy made a great example of this. Is like the men that have been close or around the border of Ukraine for years now, like expecting Russia at some point in time to move over the border, invade, whatever.
Sure.
They are very prepared physically because that hard's always been there for them. So they know they have to be on top of their game.
Right.
So if that's the case, that's completely different than us because we are living in a very privileged society where we haven't had anything to like prepare for, so to speak.
Right. Well, and we just have an open border anyway. So.
Oh yeah, they let them over as it is.
Yeah.
But,
exactly. Exactly. No, I mean you're exactly right. The people in other parts of the world, people in other parts of the world.
Yeah. But again, they don't worry about gender identity in Ukraine. There's no way.
Yeah. No. They're a little busy.
I would say so.
A little busy.
I would say so.
Yeah, and they're focused on other issues. But people in other parts of the world, there we go, I said it right. They worry about real life things.
Yes.
Like real things.
Yep.
You know, like people in the Middle East deal with their things. People in, Europe, like Ukraine, deal with their things. Like if we're dealing with stuff like stupid stuff like gender identity is just a perfect one because it's so prevalent in our freaking news and social media and even in our schools. Like, we don't have real issues.
Exactly.
You think when Pearl Harbor happened and we were headed to World War II, you think we were worried about what bathroom to use? No.
I don't think so.
We had guys that were 15 and 16 years old lying about their age so that they could go fight for this country. Like, that's what we're talking about.
Real world issues.
After 9/11 happened, we had people volunteering like crazy to go join the armed forces and go fight.
Yep.
Like that, those are problems.
Those are real issues.
Those are real issues.
Absolutely they are.
Like that, and like it sucks to say, but those type of events, Pearl Harbor, 9/11, those are just the two coming to my mind. There could be other ones that I'm forgetting, but
those are pretty obvious examples for everybody. So, yeah.
Those types of events, as awful as they are, they unite the country.
Yep.
September 12th, 2001, this country probably was never more unified than that. We were American.
Other than World War II.
Other than World War II, yes. We weren't Republican, Democrat, black, white, Asian, boy, girl, whatever. We were just Americans.
Yep.
That's all.
Yeah.
That's all.
Well, and then you kind of take the example of like how we're really apathetic here.
Mm-hmm.
So we talk about the European countries. It's mainly like the Eastern European countries. All the times it seems to be that are the more hardened countries. They're closer to Russia. They are closer to the Middle East. So there tends to be a little more conflict in the area. Mm-hmm. Now, if you go to a Germany or a France or a UK, they're softer.
Yeah.
They're softer every single time because they don't really, these days, deal with anything.
Yeah.
Truthfully. Like, they really don't, like, they actually, it seems like they like each other because the EU or whatever, globalists, whatever is leading that. So they actually like each other and they're not fighting world wars against each other like they used to.
Right.
So men have gotten very soft there as well.
Yeah.
That, again, this is just me quoting from people that have went to those places.
Mm-hmm.
They're softer and they're more similar to America.
Right.
But if you go to a place, again, like we said, like a Poland or a Ukraine or a Syria, men aren't going to be like America.
Right.
They're going to be much, much more mentally tough.
Well, and in those countries too, like, if you want to live, you have to work for it. Here, like, stuff is just handed to you now.
Yep.
Yep. And it's easy to just go around the corner because there's going to be one. Go to McDonald's. You go around the corner to whatever other fast food. Like, you stay at home, file for unemployment, just get paid to sit at home by the government. They'll just say, here you go.
Yep.
Here you go. And it's just like, what is that? Like, what is that?
Yep.
Like,
well, the thing is, too, is you actually bring up McDonald's. It makes a good point because for an able-bodied person, we're talking able-bodied, obviously there's a very small minority of people that literally, like, cannot work.
Mm-hmm.
We exclude them. Don't ever talk about the minority with us. We always talk about the vast majority in this case are able-bodied and could work if they put their nose to it.
Right.
In this case, like we're talking about McDonald's, at the same way you can go to McDonald's, you can also, if you need a job, go and get a job at McDonald's right around the corner too.
Right.
So again, and like there's another opportunity at Taco Bell. There's another opportunity at Jimmy John's. There's another opportunity at
Walmart,
the local like lumber place.
Yeah, Home Depot, Walmart. Like guys, we're giving out free applications here now. Like
always hiring.
Yeah,
that's the thing. So you work, and then you all of a sudden you work a week, and they're paying you $500.
Exactly.
$500 doesn't just pop up out of nowhere in Syria.
No,
like that's a lot of money in Syria. That's a lot of money.
Yes.
Now, granted, the dollar value is different, of course, but
but
that's past the point.
General idea, is there. Yeah.
Yeah. So that's what's crazy to me. So, and I think what's so important is why we're talking about creating your own hard here.
Mm-hmm.
Again, it doesn't have to be 75 hard. I've never said like you have to do 75 hard, but because the thing is like if I know a person who's lifting in the morning and then doing jiu-jitsu at night, and they're like, yeah, like I already pretty much do 75 hard. And I'm like, well, that's fair. Like, okay.
Yeah.
Because I know damn well they're burning, however many calories in the morning, strength training hard, and then they're also rolling. From what I understand in jiu-jitsu, if you roll with somebody for 8 minutes, it's one of the most exhausting things in the entire world. So if you're doing that type of stuff, that's your own hard, again. And putting yourself in little combat situations or whatnot. Again, like Wurtz and I said last week with the Second Amendment, train with your firearm.
Yeah.
That's another thing that can be creating your own hard. Hey, I have to be ready for a situation if it arises.
Right.
And again, I think a lot of times Wurtz and I've discussed this too, we're starting to lead back toward the hard times a little bit because of the fact that gas is going up, food shortages might be coming in because somehow plants mysteriously keep going down.
And like 10,000 cows just died in Kansas.
I saw
all
that
at
too.
the same time.
Somehow from heat stroke. Okay, that's new to me.
Yeah.
But so that type of stuff's happening, and there also is more crime on the rise. A lot of the times, there's a lot of criminals that were let out of jail because of COVID or whatever reason that was.
Whatever that was.
So we're getting to that point where it's hard time. So if we don't prepare for a hard time, you don't. And I say we, but again, Wurtz and I are making priorities of this, and we're trying to encourage you to also make priorities to make your own hard, because we don't want you to end up getting killed or left behind when stuff starts hitting the fan.
Yeah, exactly.
That's the last thing we want.
And it's coming. Yeah. And I think this plays right into it. Like, we've had it so good here that people can't even, like, grasp the idea of this happening.
They can't grasp those evil things either.
Happening. Yeah, exactly. Mm-hmm. Because for the most part, people don't have evil in their hearts. But the people that are going to cause all these issues, that are causing all these issues, are evil. Are pure evil.
Correct.
I mean, it's evil. Mm-hmm. And it's not, again, like we've talked about these types of people, it's not necessarily the people in our government. Those are just the ones that are playing or that are carrying out the play. But it's the people above them that are actually pulling the strings. Mm. They're all evil. That is evil. Real life evil. Most people can't comprehend that because we don't have evil in our hearts. For the most part, we're all good people. You know, we're good-hearted people that don't want to harm others. You know, don't want to have evil thoughts and evil actions and all this kind of stuff. But guys, it's real. I mean, it's real. Like, it's coming. And we have to be prepared. Otherwise, this country will cease to exist.
Absolutely.
And it'll be a one-world government, one-world currency, one-world everything. One-world society. And we won't be meaningful creatures anymore. Actually, we'll just be creatures. We won't be meaningful humans anymore. We have to be prepared for this. Mentally, physically, emotionally. We have to be. And financially, for that matter, too.
Absolutely.
You know?
Absolutely.
It's just, it's scary. It's terrifying, actually.
It absolutely.
Because if that happens, like, we don't have any of this anymore. This all goes away in the blink of an eye. Mm-hmm. But if we can stand up and if we can fight, and who knows, it might come to physically fighting, violently fighting. Because these people that are pulling these strings deserve to be hung. Publicly hung. Like, we need to bring that back. Mm-hmm. And that's what's going to take so that this never, ever, 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 ever happens again.
Yep. It's the, like, making a spectacle, so to speak, out of them.
Yeah.
You make an example out of a few, all of a sudden, the rats will start to scatter a little bit.
Same with, like, why are we, like, promoting pedophilia? It's the same thing. It's the exact same idea. Like, those people need to be, like, an example needs to be made of them.
Again, I'm partially convinced that for one, you should know that evil exists if you know who the name Jeffrey Epstein.
Yeah.
Like, that alone should tell you that the people higher up are not good people. They're all evil. So that alone, at least I think everybody that I've met knows about Jeffrey Epstein. So evil exists. So it's not just a little cell that was Jeffrey Epstein. Like, that's not the only people that are evil in the world. That's asinine to think that. That's not realistic.
Yeah.
So there's that with evil and Jeffrey Epstein and whatnot. What's crazy is that we just keep ignoring it too, because we see people that don't care about us for money.
Yeah.
Again, they make how much off of basically insider trading, which is insider trading in the government, because they make a bunch of money off it because they invest in the Lockheed Martins or whatever when they want to instigate a conflict over in Ukraine.
Right.
And start sending arms. All of a sudden, the stocks start going up for them.
Exactly.
They make money off it.
Right.
That is also evil.
Yeah.
Money, what is it? Is it power corrupts absolutely? Or absolute power corrupts absolutely?
Something like that.
That's the phrase. Yeah. That's the phrase. And so you have to understand that that's the whole idea of a term limit too. Mm-hmm. That's why you have to have term limits, because if you're rotating through, people every 8 years or so,
at most,
they don't have time to establish power. And they might have someone go on the side, but we can handle that outside.
Right.
You know what I mean? Right. At least they're not, like, making decisions at that time. Well, unless they're threatening our law, etc.
These people have come into the government with the intent of being a government worker for a career.
Staying there.
Yeah. And it's not about the money, because most of those positions may make six figures, which is decent money, but these people come out worth millions and millions and millions of dollars. And what actually matters to them is their power. That's what matters to them. So once they get it, they don't want to lose it. And that's dangerous for all of us.
Absolutely. I actually wanted to go back to your pedophilia point now that I was thinking about it too.
Yeah.
So you brought up an interesting point about
that's
how
also evil.
It's 100% evil.
Yeah.
It's pure. I don't care if it's some kind of like mental disorder or something like that, or whatever you keep calling it. I don't give a shit.
Yeah.
I don't give a shit if it's a mental disorder.
Right. It needs to be fixed.
Anybody who and I think we know the way it needs to be fixed. Yes. So anybody who encourages that, or like even thinks of considering it a sexuality, or anybody who is an actual pedophile and commits sexual harassment, whatever, sexual misconduct on a child, should be killed publicly.
Yeah.
That is not even a debate to be had.
Right.
And those of you that, like I'm squeamish for killing in public, okay, let's put them in general population in the prisons then.
Right.
Can you get behind that at least?
Yeah, exactly.
Let's just set them in general population. It'll get taken care of. They'll get carved apart real quick.
Exactly.
I mean, absolutely mutilated in the middle of it. Like those guys, a lot of them are kind of evil in there, but they at least have like some kind of moral code with children. A lot of times. Children.
Yeah. I mean, like I just don't get that.
There's not even like when it comes to children, and that's a crazy thing. That's how apathetic we've gotten. That this is starting to creep in with pedophilia and being more normalized.
Exactly.
That is an indication alone on how normalized this stuff has gotten.
Yep.
So, if you're gonna tell me, okay, I don't want to kill publicly, okay, then I at least need to hear from you that you're okay with them being put in general population in prison.
Yeah.
At least. Otherwise, if I don't hear that, I kind of assume that you're like weirdly sympathetic to like pedophilia or whatever.
You're complicit to the problem.
Yes.
I mean,
exactly.
you just are.
Exactly. So, and I wonder too, so, a lot of the people that we've seen, the videos and whatnot of the people almost trying to get, like, it's usually at universities, because universities are like their own secluded piece of shit area.
Yeah.
Pretty
just
much.
like Los Angeles right now.
Yeah, exactly. Yeah. And,
I have it on my shirt. It's kind of funny.
Oh, oops.
Not repping LA.
Not repping LA. We're repping raw gear, not LA. Yeah. But, so what I kind of have considered, these people that are, they go on Zoom calls and whatnot, and they're an adjunct professor or whatever at this university, and they start talking about how, like, it could be a sexuality or whatever. I wonder if they've been put up to that. Like, they're social, you know what I mean? Like
placed there?
Because, like, the government organizations have power enough to shift channels that way.
Yeah.
Like push, or even the big tech companies have ways to push certain social media content your way.
Yeah.
And you got to think there's a lot of bots on social media. There's a lot of bots on the internet.
Yeah.
So is there being like curated content so like mentally they start leaning that way?
Oh, I think so.
So, I would say so.
I don't think that's crazy to think at all.
But the thing is, like, I know damn well if there was that pushed my way on social media, it just wouldn't affect me.
Yeah, yeah.
So my guess is that they find these weak people who didn't have a good family life, that type of stuff, and that have never actually taken personal responsibility for anything. They send that their way.
Yeah,
and that's what's starting to get pushed.
Could be. It could be.
And it could be a way for them to encourage more violence.
Yeah. Right.
Because then they can encourage more violence, and then guess what? Our guns get taken away.
Yeah, exactly.
So it all loops in a lot of ways here. Is the issue, and
it does.
This is a lot to follow, guys. It really is a lot to follow.
Yeah.
But you got to sit here. Number one thing, overarching over what we just talked about. 1, kill all pedophiles. But 2, create your own hard and take your personal fitness, personal mental wellness, that type of stuff first. Because if you're set that way, you're going to be able to handle what's coming.
Exactly.
You're going to be able to resist the stuff on social media.
Yeah.
And honestly, if you can, I'd almost encourage you to decrease your social media use as much as you possibly can.
Yeah.
I really would. And we're on social media.
Yeah. I was going to say, like, that's a big part of our lives.
Yeah.
But we're smart about how we use it.
Absolutely.
We don't just use it to mind numb.
Absolutely.
Like, we're trying to use it to connect and to build and
bring
to grow.
Good content.
And to bring good content. Mm-hmm. Yeah, exactly. Clips from the podcast and just different workout stuff or just all that kind of stuff. Like we're trying to use it for good purposes. But there's so many people that just scroll.
Yeah.
Scroll.
And then whatever news headline pops up, they get
exactly.
Hey, Tim Kennedy put this really good again. He goes, I see a confirmation bias on my own beliefs, confirmation bias on my own beliefs, confirmation bias on my own beliefs. And then they see something triggering on the other side or something like that. And again, these tech companies curate it really well that way.
Yep.
Wurtz and I, social media, I mean, we go on TikTok, we go on Instagram, whatever. It is all I see, at least. I don't know about you, but what I see is a lot of just like, the Jeff Lavecchios, the Brocks. I see a lot of them. I see a lot of the good stuff they're doing. I see a lot of the good stuff that's going around St. Louis in our fitness community and whatnot. And I see like hard work motivation videos.
I was gonna say, yeah, it's like sports, personal excellence / like motivation, that kind of stuff. We all know that kind of content.
Sure.
And then just like actual workout stuff. Yeah.
And guess how we've done that, guys? Guess
how business. Business is another one. Too.
Yes.
A lot of business stuff.
Absolutely.
Actually.
And guess how we've done that, guys? We've
specifically
said to videos that pop up that are like. One, we either unfollowed accounts that were either, let's say you're a leftist and you're really supporting this account or whatever. Even I used to be like the Republican guy or whatever too. Like we kind of talked about this. You and I both Republican and whatnot. literally unfollowed my Republican accounts.
Yeah,
so
me too.
One, I didn't see that stuff, and two, I also pushed literally disinterested on videos that I do not want to see, that do not better me.
Yeah, right.
So that's a big thing too. You guys can curate that social media.
Yeah.
You guys can make the effort to do that. This is, again, you creating your own hard.
That's what is so great about TikTok.
Yeah.
If you don't want to see some type of content, you literally won't.
They won't. Yeah.
You won't.
Absolutely.
You know, and
so this is the benefit of social media. You can curate it to be really good for you.
That's where I was going.
But you have to make the effort to do that.
Right.
Which is the tough part.
Right.
Because a lot of people don't want to make the effort to do that.
A lot of people go on social media so they don't have to think. We think of social media as, how can this make us better?
Oh, yeah.
Financially, physically, or mentally.
Oh, yeah.
You know? And if it doesn't do one of those three things, I don't want it.
Yeah, that post getting thrown out.
Yeah.
I'm never seeing anything like it again.
Right. I want to learn how to make more money. I want to learn how to grow a business. I want to learn new movements for working out. I want to maybe see some cool motivational stuff because that gives me good ideas for content as well. That's what I want to see. Some travel stuff for visualization.
Definitely.
And
how to
stuff.
help people.
Yeah, exactly.
All this stuff.
Yes.
Yeah.
So that's what it all comes down to. But personal excellence.
Yep.
That's where
that's the overarching.
That's
the overarching. So we brought up the topic of American apathy, personal excellence, and personal fitness. Those cut that right off at the legs.
Yeah.
You cut that right off at the legs. Apathy goes right out the window when you start taking care of that stuff.
Exactly.
And we ran through some things with your social media. We ran through some different combat classes for you guys here. We ran through, of course, we've talked about strength training. We've talked about cardio, all this type of stuff.
Right.
Putting your heart in that way. We talked about 75 hard. That's another good starting point.
Very, very good one, yes.
So we gave you all these options again this episode, guys. Take them and then utilize them.
Yes.
Especially with that social media. Because if you start with that social media, all of a sudden you're going to start seeing all these motivational things.
Yeah.
And you're like, damn.
Hell yeah.
I want to get out there. I want to get after it.
Yeah.
So really curate that. At least start there for us, guys.
Yeah.
That's what we ask.
Yeah.
Start there with the good stuff on social media. Saying you are disinterested, you dislike this video that is all about politics or the new stuff that came out. Motivation, business, taking care of others. Workout movements, like Wurtz said. Again, all these things, do that, go from there.
And I think we both too, like, travel and like homes and houses and cars and stuff like that. Like, we get a lot of that. The reason for that, guys, is visualization.
Yeah, material stuff can be useful in that way.
Exactly. That's another use for it. So that's a really good covering of all of that, I think.
Yeah.
So guys, like, with any confusion, questions, comments on any of that, reach out to us. But that is all very, very important, because what is coming our way is dangerous and scary. And if we can do what we can to prevent that and be prepared for that, it's not going to be as bad. And we'll be able to handle it as a society. And if not, see ya.
Absolutely.
We're gone.
Absolutely.
So, I believe you had a Q&A question given to you?
I do. I did receive a Q&A question. Actually, a really good one. A really interesting one here.
Okay.
So, now, this is like a kind of a sort of a multi-answer question in a way.
Okay.
In the way of, so, Wurtz, who would you want right now to be president? You can answer like multiple people. Doesn't have to be just one person. And it has to be like a logical person, and it has to be like one who would be good in office, that type of stuff, all this stuff. Like, you name 3 names. Try to keep it 3 names at most.
3 people. Holy cow. I think Jocko Willink would be one. Guys, if you don't know who that is, he's a former Navy SEAL.
He's just so level-headed.
Very level-headed. Yeah. He's got 3 or 4 books. I have them all. I think it's 4 books. I think I just discovered he had a 4th one.
Yeah.
Yeah. I just got it. Literally just got it.
You're right. Yep.
Leadership and something.
And strategy tactics
or something. Yeah, whatever. But 2 of his main books, or his 2 main ones, are Extreme Ownership and what you're reading right now, The Dichotomy of Leadership.
Great
Both
book.
Are very based around being leaders and like a combat situation that him and his co-author went through, and then they applied to business. So anyway, Jocko Willink would be my first pick. I think the second one is obvious because we talk about him a lot. I would say Andy Frisella. Now, the only downfall with Andy is a lot of people are going to be turned off by him just because of how he talks, just like his language.
He uses foul language.
He's vulgar. Yeah.
I mean, granted, you and I do too, so...
Yeah, he's on like a completely different level.
Sure. It is a different level, yeah.
But because of the way he's able to critically think, and logically think. Like he would just definitely be
great option.
A pick for me. My third one, I want to say, like maybe an Ed Milet or an Ian Smith would probably be like my third/fourth pick. Ian Smith is running for the House of Representatives in New Jersey. He's a guy that
I believe I don't want to like step in, but I believe he might have actually lost that race just recently.
Oh, really?
I believe so.
Oh, I didn't even hear that.
Because he put out a whole post
like
saying
in the primary.
Oh, I'm pretty sure he put out a whole post like saying like we took on the giant basically of the New Jersey GOP on that side. Yeah. And by the way, New Jersey, a little bit disappointed there.
Yeah, honestly, that's news to me.
From what I understand, he did lose that race because he was outspent by like at least 10-1 or something. I know
he was talking about that. Yeah.
So, one, really disappointing on New Jersey's part there. Like that's another thing about apathy. You should be checking for guys like Ian.
Yeah, exactly. And Eric Greitens is another one. You checking for those types of people.
At least Greitens was a governor, so at least he has something. You know what I mean? At least he's noticeable.
Right.
But Ian was just a regular dude.
Just a gym owner.
Just a gym owner. But very logical. You read through some of his social media and you read through some of his like questionnaires he has on his post, and they're very well versed about all his policy he had set out and whatnot. Yeah. And it's just really disappointing because if you're in New Jersey, why wouldn't you look into that type of stuff?
Right. He's like a easier to tolerate. Now, not like it doesn't bother me, but an easier to tolerate Andy.
Right.
You know what I mean?
Sure.
Like just very similar type of people, very driven and can critically think and just So I think like an Ian Smith or from like a business point of view, like an Ed Milet.
I like that.
Ed Milet's a huge businessman.
Sure.
Has built several companies. One of those with Andy, Arte Syndicate is that one. But he's just a really solid business guy and just always has good stuff to say. Yeah. I mean, Ed's got a lot of really great quotes. A lot of you have probably seen them and probably don't even realize that it's him. I didn't know who he was until I put two and two together that he was on a podcast I listened to and then seeing him in videos and whatnot. But anyway, those would be my picks. I think Jocko would be
top dog.
My number one choice.
Top dog.
And I've said that to you before.
For sure.
You know?
Absolutely.
So, anyway, that was kind of a long answer to your question.
No,
let's hear you.
That's fair. That was good. I would have to 100% put Ian in there. I really enjoyed watching him progress through, like, because I try to pay attention as much as I could to his social media, and I tracked a lot. I bought a lot of his Attila stuff and whatnot, as both you and I have supported a lot of that.
For sure.
And I just appreciate that he's willing to just stand up at all cost.
Right.
I really appreciate that. I can't say enough good things. I've never met the dude in person, and I can just tell. Yeah. Just a great man type thing, which is awesome. So him,
the very definition of a patriot.
The very definition of a patriot.
What's funny to me about that term is people hear, I consider myself a patriot, or that guy's a patriot. They associate that with, he's a Republican, he's far right. No, a patriot is just someone who loves this country. Regardless of what your political views are, it has nothing to do with that. It's just believing in this country, standing for what this country is, and loving this, and being proud of that freaking red, white, and blue right there.
Yep.
That's the best damn flag in the world. And there's absolutely nothing wrong to defend that. And if you don't defend that, you can screw off. Pisses me off.
Yeah, that has me lit up right now, baby.
So Let's mad go. When people can't do that. So I'm sorry, I butted in.
No,
Ian Smith.
No, you're absolutely right. That's a great point. I mean, it's so weird because it's so easy to love it.
Yeah, look at it.
I mean, it's like we talked about. It's made life so easy for us.
Yeah, right.
Like the freedom we've been gifted is awesome.
Yeah, exactly.
The stuff we have access to here is awesome.
Right.
And
so many people just piss it down the drain by being just lazy, disgusting, useless people.
Yeah.
I mean, seriously.
You could not have put that.
Just piss it down the drain.
It's just like...
but they're worried about what bathroom to use.
It's like, especially you parents should really be on the level of... And those you coming up as parents, whenever you do have kids and whatnot, you should be teaching your kids to work hard.
Yeah.
And be good for this country, a good citizen, care about other people, and respect the freedoms it gives us. Because again, guys, sometimes freedom is scary because you hear a word you don't like. Oh no. But would you rather have that, hear a word you don't like, and that be allowed, and you also be allowed to say stupid shit? Or would you like to have us have to say a curated message every single day and follow a certain like transcript, go to work, come back, sit in your cubicle, and do nothing else?
Right. Or be like WALL-E, like the people in the movie WALL-E.
For those who've seen WALL-E, you understand that 100%.
Who are just fat slugs who sit in their floating chairs all day long in front of a screen.
I'm very concerned we would be headed that way.
Dude, that's where we are headed.
100%.
I mean, like, literally, you know? Anyway, continue on with your answer.
So
Ian Smith
it was
your top choice.
Ian was my top choice. You know, I really want to put Jocko up there. But I really want to. Like, I want to have two different ones. Just cause, like, sure. I would definitely have Jocko in top 5, 100%, of course, because he's, again, it's that strategy thing. It's a strategy and a business thing,
and just so collected.
He is very calm and collected.
Yeah.
So after, you know, what's weird actually to put it up there, listening to Eric Greitens talk more and more. So he was on an episode, a long, like 3 or 4 part episode on Andy Frisella's podcast, Real AF.
Yeah.
Where it's one of those that it's just worth whoever you are listening, because he talks about like his humanitarian efforts in different places, like all the stuff he's seen around the world.
I learned so much about him in those
just randomly
3 or 4 parts, whatever it was. Yeah,
I just thought he was a regular dude, Navy SEAL. Regular dude. That's, you know what I mean with Navy SEALs. Yeah, but like just a, so to speak, regular dude, just a Navy SEAL. But I didn't know he had done all this stuff. He like worked with the Peace Corps, all this stuff.
Yeah.
So again, guys, I mean, you're hearing me talk about him. You might think he like was accused of, you know, whatever it was,
right?
Some kind of like assault with his family or something like that.
Yeah, it was like it's some kind of domestic violence,
something like that,
accusation,
and that came out within like a month that it was fake, of course.
Fake. Yeah,
because he was ahead in the polls.
And that Mitch McConnell and Karl Rove were the ones that tried to get, tried to what's that word I'm looking for?
Sabotage it.
Well, they manufactured it.
Yeah,
is essentially that's the word I was looking for. Manufactured it.
That I didn't know.
Yeah,
surprise.
Yeah, Karl Rove is a former. He was an advisor to George W. Bush, I believe.
I think you're right. Yeah, that sounds right.
Just a ugly person to look at. But guess what, guys? Yeah. Both of those guys happen to be under the R. So this is proof that we're not just some far right guys that, you know, are just conspiracy theorists that only believe in the Republican side. No, hell no. The Republicans are just as bad as the Democrats.
Yep.
I mean, that's just a fact.
That's just a fact. So. Because they're on the coward side of things. They just kind of sit there and they're like, oh yeah, that's gonna make me money. Cool.
Exactly.
So I would love to put as my third. I would love to put DeSantis, but at the same time, I don't know. I don't know if I trust him yet. Yeah. Only because he's been how long he's been the governor? I
don't know.
I think he's been the governor for like 6 to 8 years. It could be less than that. Realistically, definitely could be less than that. Yeah, I appreciate you looking that up because I would like to know. But third one other than him, you know, it is definitely a tough one. What's funny is I would actually go the other way. There's another level-headed guy here. I would go Sal Frasilla. If Sal would step up, again, he's not as well known as Andy by any means.
They're brothers.
Not even close. Andy and Sal are brothers. Sal goes on Andy's podcast a lot, and he's extremely level-headed too. He's a family man, all this stuff. So he wouldn't run. Like I just know Sal wouldn't.
And Andy says he wouldn't either.
Yeah, no, because Andy doesn't want to do with the bullshit.
Yeah, right.
Because he would turn this thing into Singapore. Is what happened.
Exactly. Just side note, it says that DeSantis has been the 46th governor of Florida since 2019.
Nice.
Yeah, so he's in his 3rd year.
Oh, okay. So he hasn't even been... Okay, so
not even full term, honestly.
Do we... I'm not going to worry about this right now, but I would actually like to know if he was in Congress, in like the state Congress or anything like that before.
Yeah.
But we'll look that up and... Yeah.
I would think he probably has been because...
I would assume, because you can't just jump to the government.
Yeah, although I guess Greitens did that.
Yeah,
he was an outsider.
You're right.
Trump jumped straight to the president.
Yeah. So Trump definitely is an outlier with that because of the fact that he had billions of dollars. So,
right.
Yeah. And the reason, guys, we don't even list Donald Trump on this list. You notice that?
Yeah, because like his ideas and the fact that he is not a career politician, that's what's attractive about him. But he is like the Twitter stuff and just there's plenty of Trump that is not to like. But there is also plenty to like. It's just people can't stand the way he talks and the Twitter and all stuff. But the whole time he's in office, the 4 years that he was in office, all you ever heard was all these horrible, bad things about how Donald Trump should not be the president and all this stuff. A lot of that was manufactured, guys.
Right.
Like a lot of people that know me from high school and whatnot, like I was the Tracy Trump guy. Like I had the Trump sticker on my car. I was wearing Trump shirts all the time. Like I was that guy. I was 100%.
I think you had a couple like actually really cool ones if I remember.
Yeah, and I got on the huge Students for Trump Instagram account, which had it was I think at the time like 50,000 followers.
Yeah, I didn't know that. Cool.
I got on that, which was like cool in high school. Now understanding what I do, like he's not the guy this time around. He was the guy this like the past time, but that time has passed because now he's sitting here trying to sell us the vaccine.
He's too old.
And telling us that we need to be taking the vaccine. And he's starting to like brag because the vaccine came out when he was still in office. It's like, dude, all these people are starting to have the side effects. So quit bragging about the thing because you don't want that on your name, even though it is.
Exactly. And the natural immunity still it still comes out to be better every time.
Exactly.
You get the virus, you're good. And also being a healthy person. Wurtz and I were literally joking about this before we started the podcast. It's like, like the virus actually only attacks healthy people. No, it doesn't. If you're healthy, you damn near can't die from it. Same thing we talked about with the kid, the 99.9995% or whatever.
Exactly.
So, but you're right with the Trump thing. That's why, to me, the biggest thing too is like it's definitely the vaccine, and he keeps just talking
it's
about
like trying to sell it to us. It's like, dude, I get it, you're a businessman.
Yeah, and granted, a big thing with Trump was that, I mean, look at us now. His gas was like $1.80 a gallon, and food was cheap, and everything else was cheap.
Like we were going back to what America should have been,
right? Especially economy-wise. Like honestly, the economy's damn near the number one thing we worry about.
Absolutely, because it affects everything else. And his slogan was also wrong. Like, make America great again. Like, it hasn't been there. It hasn't been great. You know?
And it would never met our potential, not even close.
You know, and when people would make fun of his slogan, well, America never was great. Well, they were trying to make it about race and about, like, social justice and all stuff. And, like, that stuff all matters, but that's not what was being alluded to.
He wasn't indicating that at all.
No, exactly.
But I'd have to say, like, the last thing about Trump here, but I would say the biggest thing is that I want somebody younger. I really do.
Exactly.
That's one thing I did appreciate about Obama is that he was definitely like he was a really good speaker.
He was an excellent
speaker, but he was also younger.
Yeah.
So I appreciated that. It was good to see a young face on there. So just a freedom-loving younger person would be just so appreciated to me. Like a 40-something-year-old.
Right.
You know, like enough life experience that they know what they're doing, but also like
not someone that's literally 146 years old. Like look at any person in our government. Any person. Yeah. Other than that one guy from South Carolina. What's his name? He's literally only a few years older than us.
Are you talking about what's his name? Madison?
Yes.
Something. So he actually recently, I learned about that. He recently lost the primary. Too. So man. He's now out too. Madison Cawthorn, his name was. But he recently lost the primary because something apparently came out about him, like actually real this time.
Good God.
Yeah, I know. Surprising enough. This guy who, again, looks like he's a great guy, but again, it's probably because he's young and he probably did something stupid.
Probably, yeah.
And because we've all done something stupid.
Of course.
So, but it actually, I'm not 100% sure, but I believe it might have been actually bad. Along the lines of like, okay, he probably deserved to lose the primary type thing.
But anyway, my point was, look at anyone in our government, and all of them look like they're about to celebrate their 200th birthday. I mean, literally, Mitch McConnell and Nancy Pelosi, like Chuck Schumer.
They look like corpses.
They literally look like dead bodies that are walking somehow.
Yep.
Like, it's bad.
100%.
Well, anyway, we're going on 45 minutes here, so guys, we covered a lot of really good stuff in this episode. We had a little fun here at the end, too, and also got passionate about that red, white, and blue up there. It needs to be taken serious.
Pedophilia. And not tolerating pedophilia.
Exactly.
Sorry. Yeah.
Exactly. So, guys, with anything regarding this episode or the Q&A, regarding any of it, reach out to us with questions, comments, concerns, anything. Again, a little new setup for us. We were excited about it. Hopefully you guys like it as well as the viewers and the listeners. Guys, until next time, we'll see you. Peace and love.
Peace and love.
Oh, that phone is hot.